one has seen the Father except he who is from God. He has seen the Father. Most assuredly I say to you, he who believes in me has everlasting life. I am the bread of life. Your fathers ate the manna in the wilderness and are dead. This is the bread which comes down from heaven, that one may eat of it and not die. I am the living bread which came down from heaven. If anyone eats of this bread, he will live forever, and the bread that I shall give is my flesh, which I shall give for the life of the world. The Jews therefore quarreled among themselves, saying, How can this man give us his flesh to eat? Then Jesus said to them, Most assuredly I say to you, unless you eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, you have no life in you. Whoever eats my flesh and drinks my blood has eternal life, and I will raise him up at the last day. For my flesh is food indeed, and my blood is drink indeed. He who eats my flesh and drinks my blood abides in me, and I in him. As the living Father sent me, and I live because of the Father, so he who feeds on me will live because of me. This is the bread which came down from heaven, not as your fathers ate the manna and are dead. He who eats this bread will live forever. These things he said in the synagogue as he taught in Capernaum. Therefore, many of his disciples, when they heard this, said, This is a hard saying. Who can understand it? When Jesus knew in himself that his disciples complained about this, he said to them, Does this offend you? What then if you should see the Son of Man ascend where he was before? It is the Spirit who gives life. The flesh profits nothing. The words that I speak to you are spirit, and they are life. But there are some of you who do not believe. For Jesus knew from the beginning who they were who would not believe and who would betray him. And he said, Therefore I have said to you that no one can come to me unless it has been granted to him by the Father. From that time, many of his disciples went back and walked with him no more. Then Jesus said to the 12, Do you want to go away? But Simon Peter answered him, Lord, to whom shall we go? You have the words of eternal life. Also, we have to come to you to believe and know that you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. Jesus answered them, Did I not choose you, the 12, and one of you is a devil? He spoke of Judas Iscariot, the son of Simon, for it was he who would betray him, being one of the 12. So the title of my message is The Day That Jesus Lost His Crowd. Churches put a lot of emphasis on crowds, but Jesus did not. And I've never known a preacher whose church was in decline who wasn't a little bit secure about dwindling numbers, about why people were leaving and not coming. Usually a pastor blames himself for it. Sometimes he's to blame, sometimes he's not. Jesus had big attendance in his days, but overall the trend was advancement through decline. He started out with all these believers, and eventually it got dwindled and dwindled and dwindled until there were just 12. It just kept dwindling. So now we see that they're walking away. Jesus was surrounded by this huge throng of people. Not long, but just him and his 12. And one of them is Judas, the devil, one of the ones who's going to betray him. You hear this word fickle. You don't hear a lot about fickleness anymore. A lot of people are fickle, and Jesus knew this. Fickle people, how they can be that way. How shallow people's commitments are. Now, we didn't read these verses, but in chapter 6, go back to verse 15. Therefore, when Jesus perceived that they were about to come and take him by force to make him king, he departed again to the mountain to be alone. So in verse 15 of the same chapter, they want to make him king. Then we skip forward to verse 41 where we started our reading. Then the Jews complained about him. Here they are complaining, they're murmuring. They're talking bad about him behind his back. You see, Jesus, what's he talking about? This flesh, eating flesh, drinking flesh. They were murmuring behind his back, but he knew what they were saying. Then verse 52, the Jews therefore quarreled among themselves, saying, How can this man give us his flesh to eat? Here it is quarreling, all out warfare. How can he tell us to eat his flesh? And then verse 66, this is the key verse here. After hearing all of this, seeing all that Jesus had done, from that time, many of his disciples went back and walked with him no more. This all happens within a few hours' time. This isn't over a long period of time. It's all within a few hours. They want him to be king. them to understand. It's one thing to follow the Lord in exciting times, right? Remember when he's doing this feeding in 5,000, he's doing miracles. Remember the 4 men, the paralytic, they can't even get in the house. They have to open up the roof and send the guy down on ropes to get in because there's so many people around Jesus. These crowds are all excited when Jesus is doing good stuff. He's healing. He's, raising the dead. But when tough sayings come, they just can't hack it, so they leave. Commitment. You want to know what commitment is? I'll give you what commitment is. A pig and a chicken sharing the same barnyard heard about the church's program to feed the hungry. They discussed how they might be able to help out. The chicken said, "I've got it. We'll provide bacon and eggs." The pig thought about this for a second and said, "There's only one thing wrong with this. Your bacon idea, an egg idea, it only requires a contribution from you, but for me, it's total commitment. There's no partial. You don't take bacon off a pig, and so that's commitment. That's commitment. All in or nothing. The chicken, I can get more eggs." So one of the difficulties of ministry is watching once faithful people turn away and follow God no more. This is nothing new. It's been going on for years. It's still going on today. You don't have to turn there. 2 Timothy 2, verse 4, or chapter 4, verse 10 says, I'll go back to 9 here. This is Paul writing. It says, "Be diligent to come to me quickly, for Demas has forsaken me, having loved this present world, and has departed for Thessalonica, Crescens for Galatia, Titus for Dalmatia." Now Demas was Paul's right-hand man, and he walked away from it all. He'd seen what Paul had done. When Paul was writing Timothy, this young pastor, he'd seen all that Paul had done. He'd seen all that Christ had done. But unfortunately, we wage war against 3 entities as a Christian. You know what those 3 are? The flesh, the world, and the devil are 3 enemies. And you know what the toughest one is to fight against? It's our own flesh. And it's hard to war against the flesh because it's always with us. And that old nature is always there trying to pull us away from God and away from Christ.